Though fans take Martha Stewart's advice on cooking, gardening, hosting, and housekeeping as gospel, her private life is possibly even more fascinating. And at times, it's put her through hell. Though she seems to always come out on top, that doesn't mean things have been all pies and rainbows. Before becoming a household name, Martha Stewart was born Martha Kostura to Martha and Edward Kostura in Jersey City. She took the last name Stewart when she married Andrew Stewart in 1961. The pair met on a blind date when she was working as a model, and he was studying law. She was only 19 and he was 23 when they exchanged vows. They stayed married from 1961 to 1990, having their only child, Alexis Stewart, in 1965. During that time, Martha started to build her lifestyle empire, but their union was less idyllic than the glossy image they projected. In an unauthorized biography on the domestic goddess, Just Desserts, Jerry Oppenheimer asserted that they had a rocky relationship and that Martha treated Andrew badly. A source close to the couple told Oppenheimer, Martha would start arguments over the most trivial subjects, and they would go on and on and on. There were times when there was utter and complete tension and long hostility-filled silences between them that you could cut with a knife. On top of all those arguments, the couple was reportedly unfaithful to each other. A friend of the couple claimed to have overheard an argument between the two and recalled to Oppenheimer, the subject of affairs came up. Martha asked Andy for details, but he was reluctant to tell her anything other than to say yes, he had done that, and so had she. After years of marital difficulty, Martha and Andrew Stewart separated in 1987 and filed for divorce in 1990. Although their relationship wasn't perfect, Martha took the ending hard. After their divorce was finalized, she gave an optimistic spin to the public, telling people, quote, "The life that I had is over, and what has taken its place is better." But according to those close to the issue, what happened behind closed doors was much more harrowing. Martha's former friend, Mariana Pasternak, told the New York Post, "I think that Andy leaving her made her feel undesirable." Soon after their relationship ended, her ex-husband started dating and eventually married Martha's former assistant, making the end of their relationship even more painful. Pasternak recalled seeing Stewart hit herself and pull out chunks of her own hair due to the distress the divorce caused her. The divorce was also very hard on their daughter, Alexis, who stopped speaking to her father after their split. Martha told New York Magazine that this was very hard on her ex-husband, who loves their daughter, but, quote, she can't forgive him for his behavior. In 2020, Martha spoke more candidly about how hard the experience was for her, telling people, "Getting divorced was a terrible thing for me because we were the first to divorce in my family, and that we haven't spoken since the divorce is even more painful." Martha Stewart's father died in 1979. Edward Kostura worked as a pharmaceutical salesman and fathered 6 children, of whom Stewart was the second oldest. The loss of her father was particularly heartbreaking because of how close they were. During a Larry King interview, Stewart recalled how her father instilled her love of gardening and her work ethic by instructing her to remove the grass from their cobblestone path when she was 3. She said, "So I sat out there all day, and I became his pet because of that." Speaking about their special relationship with makers, she explained,
"I was his favorite child. It's odd to say, but I was definitely his favorite child."
According to Stewart, her father would make himself available whenever she needed someone to take her somewhere or to explain the facts of life when she had questions that others wouldn't answer. Her father was a huge inspiration in her life who taught her to work hard and aim high. The businesswoman recalled fondly, "He also always gave me the advice, 'Martha, you can do anything,' which was very positive advice for a young girl at that time." The loss of her father was deepened for Stewart because he passed before he could see just how much his daughter accomplished.
What do you think, Mom?
I'm thinking that these are bed linens.
Although Martha Stewart is known for her illustrious career, her family life has always been more challenging. In her book, Whateverland, Learning to Live Here, Martha's daughter Alexis opened up about their less-than-perfect mother-daughter dynamic. Her daughter wrote, "Martha was not interested in being kid-friendly." According to Alexis, although her mother built a career off her homemaking expertise, she grew up without any prepared food in the house and had to wrap her Christmas presents, and they didn't celebrate Halloween at all.
Halloween, she wrote? There were no costumes. There was no anything. We turned off all the lights and pretended we were at home.
Alexis also found it impossible to live up to her mother's standards. She said, "If I didn't do something perfectly, I had to do it again. Martha does everything better. You can't win." Between Martha's demanding career and perfectionism, the Stewart home was a difficult place for Alexis to grow up. Martha herself admits that their relationship is far from perfect. Speaking to People, Martha explained she spent much of her daughter's childhood commuting to New York for her catering business. She admitted, "I tried to involve her in everything, but the minute she could leave home and go to boarding school, she did. Our relationship has always been a difficult mother-daughter relationship, but despite those challenges and low points in their relationship," Martha added, quote, "She would do anything for me, and I would do anything for her." Though Martha Stewart is known for her impeccable taste and acumen as a businesswoman, she's often remembered for one of the lowest points in her life. Stewart was accused of insider trading after she received a tip from her former stockbroker to sell I'm-clone stock in 2001. She was indicted by a grand jury on counts of obstruction of justice, securities fraud, conspiracy, and making false statements. The trial was heavily publicized, tarnishing Stewart's reputation at the time and forcing her to resign from her position as CEO of her company, Martha Stewart Living Omnimedia Inc., though she did stay on as chief creative officer. After pleading innocent, Stewart was found guilty of conspiracy and obstruction in 2004. She was sentenced to 5 months in federal prison. Years later, she spoke to Katie Couric about how harrowing her sentencing was to her, admitting it was horrifying and no one should have to go through that kind of indignity. She didn't feel her time in prison helped her to grow or taught her anything, telling Couric that you can make lemons out of lemonade, what hurts you makes you stronger. No, none of those adages fit at all. Nothing is good about it. Nothing. Still, she seems ready to move on.
I don't want to be defined by a moment in time. That was a moment, it's past, I don't think about it anymore.
It seems Martha Stewart has had many tricky family dynamics over the years. Along with her messy divorce and challenging relationship with her daughter, Stewart also went for years without any contact from one of her siblings. Frank Kostura is Stewart's younger brother, and the pair were estranged for 5 years. Following his sister's 2004 conviction, Kostura told the New York Post that his heart went out to his sister. Watching her in federal court, Kostura said, "I could see the horrible agony and heartache in her eyes and in her face." Although this was a distressing time for Stewart, seeing her in that position was what it took for Kostura to remember their familial bond and finally heal the years-long rift between them. Though he didn't share specifics on their falling out, Kostura said, "Martha and I have always had a lot of sibling rivalry. I remember us lying on the floor, biting and scratching as kids, trying to get each other to say uncle, but she would never give in." After the trial, he wanted to be there for his sister despite their differences. He felt that many people misinterpreted Stewart as arrogant on the stand. He said, "I just wish people remembered that Martha is a human, a precious human who's going through a tough time." In 2014, Martha Stewart experienced a sudden and tragic loss when her younger sister, Laura Plimpton, died unexpectedly. Plimpton was the youngest of the 6 siblings, making her death all the more shocking. The 59-year-old mother of 3 died in a hospital after suffering a brain aneurysm at home. Although she was several years younger than Stewart, the sisters shared a close bond. Speaking to Larry King, Plimpton said, "I think Martha and I have a very special relationship. I was 5 when she got married, and all I wanted to do was be around her, her husband, and then when Alexis was born, I just wanted to take care of Alexis." On top of their close family bond, Plimpton also became an employee of Stewart. The pair worked together for over 25 years, with Plimpton writing, editing, and researching content for Stewart's company. In a memorial for Plimpton, published on her The Martha blog, Stewart wrote that her younger sister was beloved by all. She added, "We are so sad, but also happy that Laura had the foresight to donate so many healthy organs to needy people." Stewart endured yet another death in the family when her younger brother, George Christensen, died at home of a suspected heart attack in 2017. Following his unexpected death, Stewart's spokesperson asked for privacy, telling Page 6, "Martha lost her youngest brother, George, suddenly and unexpectedly earlier this past week. The family requests that you respect their privacy during this time of sorrow." Though his death was tragic, Stewart and Christensen had a close relationship and many happy memories together. Christensen was a contractor who led a relatively quiet life compared to his celebrity sister, but was reportedly very close to Stewart. He appeared on her digital show, and his company, Pequot Remodeling, worked with Stewart to remodel her home, which she called Turkey Hill. Christensen was quoted in the book Being Martha, speaking about his fond childhood memories with his sister. He had said, "It was all about going and finding a piece of land and living off of it, learning how to get back to nature, listening to banjos, listening to folk music, discovering Leadbelly and the Mamas and the Papas. We used to have the greatest evenings with a bunch of hospitable people. Martha would make pies and other things for the occasions." Following her divorce, Martha Stewart has been relatively private about her dating life. She was known to date Silence of the Lamb actor Sir Anthony Hopkins for a brief period in the 90s. But speaking about their relationship, Stewart admitted she couldn't separate the actor from his frightening character Hannibal Lecter.
I went out to dinner with him a couple times, but all I could think of was Hannibal Lecter.
Her next known relationship was with billionaire Charles Simonyi, which lasted 15 years, according to Distractify. Since then, Stewart has remained publicly single, but that doesn't mean she's not looking for love. It's just been difficult for her to meet her match. Speaking to Chelsea Handler, the domestic maven said she's had many crushes that led nowhere because the object of her affection is married. She dished, "That's where I meet men. They're all married to friends of mine," or something like that. She also struggles to move on from those crushes because she always wonders if it's worth holding out for something to change. She said, "You want to believe that, oh, maybe this relationship that they're in is temporary. I always think, oh gosh, couldn't that person just die?" Handler clarified that the person Stewart was speaking of was the wife of her crush, which Stewart confirmed with the caveat that she didn't mean in a painful way. Stewart also admitted to using dating apps for a time, though she has since given up on them. It seems like finding the right partner remains a challenge for Stewart.